Hi, good morning. We're really happy to see so many faces here today. I would like to introduce Mr. Ryan Juma. He is the Vice President of Interkey Holding, and he will be given the intro.
My name is Ryan Al-Juma. I am the Vice President of Interkey. It's my absolute pleasure to be here today. I would like to start with a briefing about Interkey. Interkey was established in 1999 as an effort of engineer Saad to provide a solution for IT and telecom sector through a balance of value and solution. As today, an organization with operation in multiple sector geographies. This translated in a number of alliances and partnerships with technology providers around the world. We offer a variety of services from consulting services, data analytics, telecommunication network, infrastructure, IT security, and more. At Interkey, we keep an eye on growing technology. So, in alignment with the Saudi vision, we believe that learning and sharing the knowledge and cultivating the knowledge is the goal. We'll be having expert speakers from Couchbase organization in ways that are not possible before. Couchbase, nowadays customers spend more time in devices, for example. So only an engagement database can make this experience rewarding. And also, we have speakers from DatumCon. DatumCon team has effectively helped entities in converting large amounts of data, unstructured data to structured data for sentiment analysis, repetition management, and very large scale. They will share with us their experience in deep learning, predictive analytics, data strategy, and I truly hope you find the presentation enlightening. Thank you and enjoy it.
Thank you, Mr. Juma. So now we're going to play a little video. Thank you, Mr. Juma. So okay, so our next speaker is Steve Jackson from Couchbase. Steve has an extensive pan-EMEA experience spanning infrastructure, hardware, enterprise software, and services leading high-growth companies such as Compaq, Dell, VMware, and more recently, he has worked in early-stage companies such as Rest Software, Actifio, and Couchbase. He is consistently successful in general management, sales and marketing, strategic alliances, and channel leadership roles. Steve is known for having a focused, driven approach and a proven track record of defining strategic and tactical plans and then successfully delivering them to get the right results. He is hands-on as an individual, but has also built and led really large teams of people in the UKs and across the EMEA. So please give a warm welcome to Steve Jackson.
Good morning. Great. So, thank you for having me here today. There are three things I'd like to cover today. First, I'd like to do a quick review of today's digital world. And then I'd like to introduce you to something, a concept that we call the massively interactive enterprise. And then I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how Couchbase can help you become one of those massively interactive enterprises to be successful in that digital world. If I was to tell you that we are living in a time that represents more change than in the history of mankind, I don't know how many of you would agree to that. But the World Economic Forum, it's an expert in economic change, tells us that we're on the brink of this technological revolution. It's a revolution that will alter the way we live, work, and relate to each other. The scale, scope, and intensity of this is unlike anything humankind has ever seen. It's pretty incredible. When you think, the things that we've gone through over the years. So 250 years ago, water and steam changed the way that we did business. 100 years after that, it was combustion engines, electricity changed things again. 100 years later, it was electronics and IT, made other fundamental changes in the way we do business, the way we do things in the world. But this fourth industrial revolution, as the experts are calling it, is a merger of the physical, biological, and digital worlds, and it's something that's bigger, more extensive than anything else we've ever seen. And if you think about how that impacts business, the implications of business, it really is quite significant. But before we go into any more detail on that, I'd just like to talk about one company, Tommy Hilfiger. It's a multi-billion-dollar global fashion chain and clothing company. It's really taking advantage of this fourth industrial revolution to change the way that they do business, how they interact with their customers, and how they serve their customers. Let's take a quick look at what Tommy Hilfiger is all about.
We're embracing innovation as we enter a new era, revolutionizing the fashion industry and looking to the future. We're pioneering innovative new technologies that allow us to work smarter, better, and faster. In 2015, we revolutionized the buying and selling journey for our wholesale customers with the industry's first ever digital showroom. What started as a vision for the future became a reality. Today, we have digital showrooms in 13 countries with 24 theaters and 59 workstations. By the end of 2017, we'll have 26 theaters and 78 workstations, from Europe to the Americas to Asia and everywhere in between. But we won't stop there. By advancing the technology, we've taken our digital showroom even further, constantly evolving to meet our customers' needs. We're immersing our customers into our world from the moment they arrive, creating an exclusive bespoke service. We're sharing our brand heritage and our seasonal inspirations so our customers understand the collections better than ever. And we're making it easier for them to take control. In just one click, everything is displayed on ultra-high-definition 4K screens, from product details and pricing to buying history and delivery dates and more. We're bringing greater ease to creating, editing, strengthening, and perfecting unique assortments for every customer. With the selection process complete and no additional paperwork or admin needed, the summary is sent directly to the customer's personal account. It's that simple.
So it's pretty incredible when you take a step back and you think about how Tommy Hilfiger is changing the shopping and buying experience for customers. It's really very different from the way we come to expect when we do this, the experiences we've had so far. But as I stand here today, I predict that within a couple of years, maybe even a couple of months, you'll start to see this as an experience that you come to expect. And you'll choose to operate in this way. And if organizations aren't adapting and aren't delivering on this sort of customer experience, you'll start to choose to do business in other organizations that are delivering that experience. And when you think about that, the point about this fourth industrial revolution, it really is very disruptive to organizations. everything from innovative business models to the way we interact, the way we even have our healthcare delivered to us is changing. And we're having to adapt, organizations across the globe are having to adapt to those changes. John Chambers, very famous individual, he used to be the CEO and chairman of Cisco. He retired from Cisco a couple of years ago. Now he's a very active venture capitalist in the US. He's predicting that 40% of today's businesses will fail in the next 10 years. And the reason for that is that they won't sort of adapt it to the technological change. Now, 70% of them will try and transform digitally, but probably only 30% of those, a third of those, are going to succeed. So it's a very real-time transformation, and it's something that we really need to be mindful of what that means to business leaders and technologists as they're evolving into this transformation. So let's look a little bit at some of the data. So this data is from IDC, and they're predicting that 37% of organizations have started with this digital first approach. So they've started to evolve. Yet 45% of those people are still at the very early stages of the digital transformation. And what's more, again, according to IDC, 52% of executives who are moving down that digital path have realized that it's not just about adapting to the way you're engaging with the customer, but it's also about enabling worker productivity and using technologies such as mobile, AI, and other technologies, artificial intelligence and things like that, to enable the productivity and tools of their internal employees. And that's quite interesting because up until now, we've thought about digital transformation very much more to do with businesses interacting with their customers and their consumers. But to become a massively interactive enterprise, you have to be thinking about how it's affecting the whole business, not just the shopping experience and traveling and making reservations, but also the things that are happening within the walls of your organization. So we'll build on this concept with a few examples. We'll talk about how that might work. But really, it's all leading to this idea of massively interactive enterprises. So successful companies will not only get close to their customers with technology, they'll also use that technology to enable their employees. So technology really will be fundamental to our success and prosperity in this fourth industrial revolution. And it'll be interactions beyond humans to companies. It'll be partners to suppliers, it'll be suppliers to manufacturers, it'll be machine to machine, it'll be company to company. And this vast web of complex interactions will be critical to becoming a massively interactive enterprise. So I'd like to explore that concept a little bit further with some examples. So what this slide is showing you are interactions on the left-hand side, and then every now and then there's a transaction on the right. You'll see there's many interactions to a few transactions. So what I'm going to do to try and illustrate this whole area and what this means, this multiple interactions to a transaction, I'm going to invent a fictitious company. I'm going to call it Fitco. Fitco is a company that provides fashionable wearables that enable you to work out and get health information. See, one of these things that you wear on your wrist, and when you go running or something, it gets your heart rate and tells you how fit you are and the things you need to do. Okay, so Fitco is a massively interactive enterprise. So let's imagine, first of all, I want to buy one of these devices. So I've got an idea of what's available out there. I go and do my research, I go online, I might look at my mobile phone, I do something like that. I can figure out what sort of fitness devices are out there on the market. I think about you know, the design, what colour it is, how big it is, how it interacts with my computer or my mobile device. So I think about all the different components of the purchase as I go through that buying cycle. Something we probably do 5 times a week. Once I've chosen something, I'll be then thinking about, okay, so what sort of customer reviews are there? Testimonials, how reliable are these things? How do they break? Once I've gone through that process and I've seen the 5-star attributes to the one I've chosen, I've made my decision. I'll start to think about, okay, so what's the delivery process? How long will it take to get one of these things? If I bought from that company before, am I in some kind of buying program where I get some special deal? There's a whole load of things that we do as we're going through that evaluation process. Those are all happening before we make the transaction. So that's representing these multiple interactions that we have before the transaction. So there's my nice graphic Fitco watch. And what's kind of interesting about this is that on average, there are about 1,000 of those transactions, those interactions for every transaction. And it's kind of a magic ratio, because when we look at other industries across the board, this magic 1,000 to 1 ratio comes up again and again. So if you look at the travel industry, for instance, if you're thinking of booking a hotel reservation, or a flight, or a holiday, you go online, you look at, you might want to look at a video of the hotel, or some pictures. You might want to look at the seat plan of the aircraft. You're doing all sorts of research. Again, you're always certainly going to be looking at reviews, many things you can do in the destination when you get there. These are all interactions that happen before that transaction, and it typically it's a 1,000 to 1 ratio of those sorts of transactions. And this happens when you look across the board, across industries. This 1,000 to 1 magic ratio comes up again and again in the e-commerce. So we've got this in e-commerce, it's 1,000 to 1 ratio. The next step is we hit the button and we buy the product, we hit the purchase button. Now this is triggering a whole raft of new things. So everyone in the supply chain is getting this message that you hit the button. So suppliers, manufacturers, warehousing, shipping, etc. They're sure they're emptying whatever queue they're managing to deliver this fitness device ultimately to you and to many others that purchase one of these things. And what's kind of amazing is that when you think about the ratio in this part of the organisation, so in the employee part and the supply chain part, it's not 1,000 to 1 ratio of transactions to interactions, it's 100,000 to 1. So it's much more complex, the interaction of the data when you're into the supply chain and the manufacturing cycle, the delivery and everything, the support and everything else, following on from that original purchase. But it doesn't stop there, because with machine learning and artificial intelligence, our company, our fictitious company Fitco, has got a highly automated production facility. And so that it can proactively maintain its machines, it's monitoring everything. It's monitoring machine-to-machine interactions all of the time. What's more, once the Fitco has sold the device, they're collecting data from that device so that they can do predictive, give you predictive information on your fitness, etc. So they've got, and they're doing that 24/7. So this machine-to-machine interaction is even more extensive. So it's not 1,000 to 1, it's not 100,000 to 1. We're now talking about a million interactions for every single transaction. So when you think about the level of data volume that we're seeing happening in this whole industrial revolution to become a massively interactive enterprise, it really is quite expensive. But when you think about this, these challenges are really very real. So I've had my fictitious company. What What I'd like to do now is give you a few examples of how Couchbase is working with some of our customers to solve some of these problems today. I picked three customers. I picked Amadeus, I picked United, and I picked a company called BD, which I'll talk a little bit about, more about in a moment, to explain what they do. So let's take a look at the first example. So Amadeus. Amadeus is a company that handles 80% of the world's airline bookings. So whenever you book a flight, highly likely that that transaction is passing through Amadeus. So almost all of the world's airlines use organizations. So and so a lot of the search websites, etc., are all powered by Amadeus. So a multi-billion-dollar global technology company. They were founded in 1987. And they're working with some pretty significant volumes. Now, one of the ones that strikes me, that stands out for me, is that their look-to-book ratio, which is the number of interactions for every booking, it's not 1,000 to 1 days. It's actually 300,000. So they're at the high end of the scale, and they're working with vast amounts of data. They've got 600 million bookings a year they process on Couchbase. And 99% of those bookings have to be fulfilled in less than 2.5 milliseconds. Just think about that. That's a massive volume of data that their customers, which we interact with, not only come to expect, but absolutely depend on. So massive data. The next example is United. United is the third largest airline in the world. They're trying to get 4,500 flights up and down every day. And to do that, they've got an army of 41,000 employees, pilots, attendants, crew, maintenance, schedulers, what have you, 41,000 people that are all working together to get these aircraft. They had lots of disparate legacy systems that they were working with to do that, which was making it pretty much impossible to achieve their goal. What they managed to do is integrate all of those disparate systems into one productivity tool. It's a single portal with lots of very complex inputs that are dependent on each other, so that their flight can take off and land on time. So it's incredible complexity, data silos and tools, and Couchbase has helped them to aggregate those together and provide a level of productivity that their customer service just couldn't do, couldn't do what they're trying to do. It'd be absolutely impossible. And United are a customer that's really at the beginning of their journey in digitalization, and we're seeing now lots of different use cases where they're starting to use Couchbase and an interactive database to solve some of these big challenges on their journey to becoming a massive interactive enterprise. So that example is the middle of it, the employee part of that process, 100,000 to 1 interactions. This next one, BD, Dickinson. Now this is interesting because they were founded in 1897. They're a technology medical firm. They're a large company in the United States, again, $1 billion company. And one of the things that they do, amongst the many things that they do around in medical technology, is they manage patients with diabetes. They estimate that the cost of managing this process is up to $327 billion every year. And what they're doing, they're trying to be more efficient about it, trying to provide a better service to their customers, their patients. So this is something that's inherently complex. They're trying to manage a very difficult medical condition and create an experience that their customers benefit from. They've built an application that fundamentally changes the way the diabetes patients interact with their healthcare professionals, their clinicians. And what they do, they have an IoT device, they have a smart device which takes blood samples and in real time passes that information back to the clinician so that they, on their database, they have a record and they know what's happening to the patients all the time. really quite a unique sort of technology in terms of this. What's really important about this is that this works whether they're connected or not. So if they're not in an environment where there's an internet connection, this continues to work, continues to take the samples, and then sends the information back as soon as they get back online. So this is enabled, so Couchbase has helped them build that technology, that capability for their patients. So that's part of that last part of the paradigm, the machine-to-machine patients of a million transactions. So, why do you need Couchbase to help you do some of these things? And the reason for that is that it's actually quite common to do, and many companies are struggling with this concept of digitalization and digital modernization. We did our own survey about a year ago, and we interviewed 100 IT and business leaders from across the world. How really they were getting on with their digital transformation, this fourth industrial revolution, and how their projects were going. And kind of quite shockingly, really, 90% of them said many of their projects were failing. Now, that's much higher than John Chambers had predicted. And that when we kind of dug into that, 84% of those people said that it was the limitations of their legacy databases which was preventing them making the changes they needed to make to be successful in this new digital world. And it was really preventing them from becoming massively interactive. And the reason for that is that there's some really hard challenges that you have to overcome to do some of these things. First of all, the solution has to be architected for the cloud these days. It has to provide a level of scale that the world really has never seen. With all of these interactions that we're trying to manage now, compared with the transactions of old, the scale is just unbelievable. We've gone are the days when any sort of downtime is acceptable. So these systems can never fail. People are running their businesses on these 24/7, 365 days a year. There is no downtime acceptable. And it's not just the central repository of data and the clouds that are important to make computers digitally enabled, but it needs to include the devices on the edge. We're all using multiple devices now, phones, tablets, computers, what have you. So we have to take account of the databases running on those devices as well, as we're doing some functions. And you have to build in the intelligence to the databases so that we can do things like create recommendation optimization engines, both for the front office and for the back office productivity. These things all have to be built into and interacted into a database that's managing these interactions. And of course, it has to be secure. And it has to be done at a fraction of the cost that we're used to spending on legacy technologies. So there's some hard challenges. But I'm very pleased to tell you that Couchbase has not only managed to build an engagement database that will enable the company to become massively interactive enterprises, but we've managed to solve all of these challenges in the process. And when we'll talk about more about what Couchbase does in the next session from Dr. Mohammed Haji, but really when it comes down to it, when you break this down, there are three business problems that we're helping you solve. We're helping you solve your customer experience and engagement challenges. We're enabling you to innovate and get faster to market with your next generation applications. And we're also helping you reduce infrastructure and operating costs. When we think about databases, okay, traditionally there are really these two types of databases. There's on the left, the transactional database, and this is the traditional database that we use to manage those transactions. But what's kind of interesting is that over the years, 5, 10, 15 years ago, the number of transactions hasn't really changed. We're still buying about the same amount of goods that we always bought. It's the number of